Hi, my name's Daryl.
And I'm Nicole.
Now, typically I do content on RAV4 Prime.
And we love our RAV4 Prime. It's a great car.
But unfortunately, our RAV4 Prime is in the shop.
It's very sad.
And I just did a 3-year review on our RAV4 Prime, and I gave it glowing reviews saying that I've never had any problems with it. And as soon as I released it, like 4 days later, I got a check engine light. So.
But hopefully it'll come back better than new.
But when I did take my RAV4 Prime in for service, they gave me a rental car. And yeah, I wasn't hugely excited about the rental car, but they gave us this Toyota Sienna.
And it's huge. It's much huge. Larger than the RAV4 Prime.
And I love minivans. I don't really like the way they look, but I just love the utility that they provide.
It's very spacious.
Yeah. So Nicole said,
let's do a review of the Toyota Sienna since we have one here.
And so since Nicole made that suggestion, I suggested that she help with the video.
Yay.
So that's what we're going to do today. Now in this review, we are going to be test driving the Toyota Sienna. We're actually going to take it up in the mountains and test the drivetrain. We're also going to get a really good idea on the gas mileage it gets. And then
we're going to also review what we really care about, which is the interior.
Nicole's going to talk about the interior.
And if we have any ladies watching, you're probably also really more concerned about the interior space and the interior features than the drivetrain.
And I know I'm going to lose all the dudes when she starts talking about the interior. but anyway,
if he's going to make me be part of the video, I am going to talk about the things I want to talk about.
So as part of this video, like I said, I'm a real huge of minivans. I actually did a review on the Chrysler Pacifica a couple of months ago, and so I'll have that linked here. But I'm going to compare this Toyota Sienna to the competition out there. So its major competition is the Chrysler Pacifica, the Honda Odyssey, and the Kia Carnival. So if you are interested in kind of how minivans compare against each other, you might want to stay for that video.
For that ending.
For that ending. Towards the end of the video.
All right. Well, thank you so much, and off we go on
the test drive.
Yay!
One of the things I want to focus on initially is the drivetrain on the Sienna.
Okay, but before Daryl bores you to death with the drivetrain, we're going to talk first about the interior.
Okay.
So while he's driving, I'm going to take us through, show us some of the features of the interior.
Okay, sounds great. And
the interior is actually, like we said, it's very spacious. You have a lot of room. There's a lot of room between us.
It's very wide.
It's very wide.
We're not really used to that when there's like 3 feet between us or something like that.
Good, I guess. Bad in another way. So I'm going to show you kind of what's here in the middle of the minivan. So there's a couple of different things. First, you have the shifter. It's really nice and high up here, and then you have 2 cup holders next to it. You have some more cup holders right here that close up. Then you have this nice little divider that opens up. You gotta push the button. And inside is very deep. I don't know if you guys can see.
Huge, just like 2 feet deep.
You have some USB ports on it.
My whole arm almost fits in there. Look at that.
Yeah, it's very, very large. So, and underneath this center thing, I don't know if it comes through on the camera very well, but
it's a pass-through storage.
There's like a pass-through. Stick your hand through there, Daryl. See, there's his hand. There's my hand. You can hold hands underneath. That's kind of a nice feature.
You could put a shopping bag down there. You could put your purse down there.
Yeah, you can put your purse down there.
I could put a basketball down there.
Yeah. So up here is also this nice little ledge. There is definitely a USB port there so you can plug in. And this little ledge goes all the way through, which is really nice.
The armrests are pretty good?
The armrests are pretty comfortable. You have an armrest over here.
They're a little wide though, I think, a little wide.
And you have an armrest over here. You have the lock button and the window button. Up here you have a really nice display. It's a standard type, very similar to the RAV4 display. It has all kinds of buttons. You have the air conditioning that controls everything right there.
one really bad thing about the Toyota Sienna that is different from all of the other minivans is the second row seats in all trims aren't removable. So you can't take the seats out.
Yeah, that's kind of a bummer. On the top of the roof, you can see we right now have the sunroof open, and you can slide it open. We do have some controls right here for how to open up the actual sunroof where you're hitting the button. So there it goes, up and down, and whoa, that's bright. And it shuts. Okay, so now let me let Daryl take over and tell you about drivetrain.
So when we're talking about the drivetrain of the Toyota Sienna, it was introduced in 2021, and they made a really controversial move with the Sienna is they went with an entirely hybrid option. So it's got a 2.5 liter four-cylinder engine, and they've got basically 2 or 3 motors that are attached to the engine that provide additional horsepower on it. If you do get a all-wheel drive, you get a third engine on the back wheels, but overall that doesn't change the overall horsepower of the Sienna. So combined with the engine and the 2 or 3 motors, you get 245 horsepower. And it's kind of weird. I mean, you figure you got a 189 horsepower engine, almost 190 horsepower, and then you have at least 200 horsepower in the motors, so you would figure you'd get a little bit more horsepower than 245, but that's what they say. And you know, I guess it just depends on when those electric motors kind of kick in. It seems like the electric motors kick in real at the start, and then after you get above like 30 or 40 miles per hour, it doesn't seem like they really do very much. So the 0 to 60 time on the Toyota Sienna, car driver says that it gets 7.5 seconds, 0 to 60, which is kind of like in the middle in regards to the other 3 minivans. It gets 33 miles per gallon combined, so that's really the big deal. All right, so one of our cameras did die. We're still on 3 bars on battery, and we've been driving about probably 6 or 7 miles. We're going at a pretty good grade, probably about 6%. I'm going right now 75 miles an hour. You can hear the engine running. You can hear kind of the annoying drone. Toyota does a really good job of just managing the battery life on their hybrid engines. So you can see that power is coming from the battery and back to the battery. So it's doing a little combination of both. So it's really utilizing the engine to feed power into the battery, as well as using the engine to get the Sienna up the hill, but at the same time it's also using those electric motors in propelling the Sienna up the hill. So I had some concerns specifically in regards to towing, because this thing supposedly will tow 3,500 pounds, but I was a little worried on a grade like this whether it would be able to handle it very well. This does have quite a bit of payload, which isn't surprising because it can handle like 7 to 8 passengers, but it has like a 1,450 pound payload capacity. And so if you were towing and you didn't have all that many people in here, yeah, it can handle, you know, 2,500, 3,000 pound trailer probably pretty well.
Okay, so we're going to show you a little bit about the back. So I'm going to hop in, show you how easy it is to get in. So it's not super easy because you got to step up high and then your head is equal with this. So you need to, it's a little awkward getting in. But once you're in, this feels pretty darn comfy. I have a lot of room, I have a lot of leg room. These seats are actually really comfy. You can easily take a nice nap in here. There's a nice cup holder over here. So again, you have 6 cup holders back here, which is a lot. There's vents for the air conditioning right here. Let me show you how to get into the 3rd row. I guess you can step over this, and then if the 3rd row seats were up, I mean, you could sit down right here. Maybe Daryl will pop them up as well. So it wasn't too bad to get back here into the third row. I'm sure these seats will also move up so that you could climb in off of the side.
Yeah, they slide forward.
So they would slide forward, and then it might be easier. But that was pretty easy to get in through the middle. Yeah, I mean, it's really spacious. Not very spacious on the head area though. Daryl, do you want to try hopping in, see how it is for you?
Yeah, so these seats slide back and forth, and so this is the recline mechanism on them. Oh yeah, so that's interesting. So this is kind of gives you more space. So if you are trying to store a bunch of cargo, this seat will kind of flip forward, and then on the track slide forward, and so it will give you more space in the back.
Down lower is where you go back and forth. Push back.
And this mechanism right here is how you can slide it back and forth in its track, which is pretty cool. So that's a lot of legroom right there.
There's a lot of legroom.
So I can be in there like this, and then I can slide it back.
Ooh.
And there you go.
You look very comfy.
So it's pretty comfy. Yep, pretty comfy captain chair right here. I still wish you could remove these, because ideally you'd want to remove these to give it more flexibility, but that's the decision Toyota made. They're not selling as many minivans as Honda or the Chrysler Pacifica, so might be one reason.
Yeah. I mean, because it would be really nice for the dogs if we could take those seats out and have that whole back area for the dogs. Yep. That would be really nice.
Yep. Now
I mean, most people have kids and not just
most
dogs.
People that get minivans probably have kids, but eventually the kids leave, and then they got dogs, and then what you gonna do?
Yeah. Then you're gonna want to take out the seats.
Yeah.
So even with the third row up, I mean, look at the amount of space still for like luggage.
Yeah.
Stick your hands in there, Daryl. I mean, I could fit an entire Daryl in there. Yeah. Look. There he goes. I guess it's really a 9-passenger car, because you can fit one person in there.
I could throw somebody right there too.
10-person car. I'm sure it's not legal, but they'll fit in there.
The one thing about Toyota hybrids that they do better than anybody else is they include inverters in a lot of their hybrids. So in our RAV4 Prime, we have a 1500 watt inverter that we absolutely love. It'll power our camper, it'll power basically our campsite.
Basically, Daryl's the coffee maker in the morning when we're camping.
Power our microwave. It's powered our AC. So it powers all kinds of devices when you're camping. Now the Sienna has the same, even though it's not a plug-in hybrid, it's a hybrid, but it has the same technology. Now you can't get it on the base LE. This is an XLE, but you have to get I think the something plus package. I think it's $2,500. You get a whole bunch of other good goodies, but you also get that 1500 watt inverter. So that's one thing. I mean, if you do use your minivan for camping and doing all sorts of, you know, trips and stuff like that, I would certainly invest in, I would get the XLE, the upgraded trim. I would probably get the all-wheel drive, which costs, I think, $2,000 more. But also with that package, you get the inverter, the 1500 watt inverter, that'll also power your camping adventures too.
Okay, so we are going to stop at the stop sign and take off in sport mode. So here we go. That was pretty zippy. I would say that was...
Yeah, so you heard...
That was pretty nice.
So you actually heard the wheel spin twice. I mean, we do have a front wheel drive model. And so, yeah, it's going to put a lot of horsepower on those front wheels. That's a little different than what you had in eco mode, right?
Yeah, that was way different than what I had in eco mode.
Because you tried to pull out in traffic and you weren't, from a stop, right? And,
from a stop.
And you weren't able to get going?
I was a little worried.
Did you floor it or you didn't floor it?
I don't know if I really floored it, but I certainly, when I pulled out in traffic and it wasn't going, I certainly pushed more on the accelerator. So there is that.
So I'm going to put her in her eco mode that she was in initially, and then she's going to try it again to see if she can tell that much of a difference.
Down in eco mode.
Here, Nicole, go
There's a little
Okay.
display right there.
Okay.
Okay, so
Okay, we're gonna go to a stop. And here we go.
Screeching.
No screeching, but
it still went.
it still went. Maybe just maybe the car wasn't warmed up or something like that. I don't know.
I don't know. Maybe it was operator error. All I know is I was rather dismayed. But right there it wasn't too bad. So maybe I didn't quite floor it quite right. I mean, I shouldn't have to worry really though when I'm pulling out into traffic to make sure that I'm driving right.
No.
So it was a good first experience for me with the Toyota Sienna. But right there, that went okay.
It went okay. I mean, it's still not ideal. I mean, it's still, there's kind of just a little bit of a delay there, and yeah, it just seems like this is not something I would necessarily feel real comfortable with on a one-lane highway trying to make a passing maneuver.
Oh no, for sure not.
I'm still not in love with the drivetrain. I think the combination for me of the inability of removing the second row seats, as well as doesn't have the power I would really like to see, and it's kind of noisy when we are going up the mountains and you're trying to, you know, accelerate. You know, the engine noise and the CVT transmission just isn't great. So it probably wouldn't be my first pick.
No, which is kind of disappointing because I really love Toyota and I really love our RAV4 Prime. So it'd be nice to, I mean, then it's got a lot of room. That's about its only real selling point, in my opinion.
Yeah, I would be really interested in the Grand Highlander that has the Max hybrid engine. It's a 2.4 cylinder turbocharged engine. So it's got the low end torque of the turbochargers, and it's got the hybridized engine as well. And so when you don't have the benefit of the electric motors, you still got a relatively strong, almost 300 horsepower engine. I would be really interested in that drivetrain in this particular vehicle. I think it would do really well. I think it would still get really good gas mileage. You know, they did in 2025, they have upgraded the Sienna, but they've only upgraded in the sense of the, you know, kind of some of the interior updates. They haven't really done anything with the engine or the drivetrain components, and so that hasn't changed at all yet. So we ended up with a gas mileage of 34.9 miles per gallon. So let's talk about the exterior looks of the Toyota Sienna, because what's most important when you're choosing a minivan? The looks, right? So when Toyota was designing the new minivan, the new Sienna back in 2021, they kind of had a bullet train concept, and I can't say they actually succeeded on the concept. I guess it looks all right, but it certainly isn't my favorite in regards to the minivan competitors. I would probably put it in third place, tied with the Honda Odyssey. I think it kind of looks similar to that. One of the things that you're going to notice about the Sienna though is, and pretty much with most minivans, is, you know, that small little front hood. It just looks kind of, yeah, it doesn't look great. Toyota did change up the front grille on the Sienna, which gives it a little bit more of a rugged look, but yeah, I think the side profile just kind of takes away from it. Also, with the Sienna, you're going to notice in the back here that the window is a little bit raked more, so it's a little bit more at an angle compared to some of its competitors, and I kind of prefer a little bit more boxed look as opposed to the slanted kind of window, but yeah, that's just my personal opinion. If I was choosing a minivan for looks, it would basically between the Chrysler Pacifica with its S appearance package. The Chrysler Pacifica kind of looks like a little spaceship. I really like the way it looks. And with the S appearance package, it's kind of a blackout package. So it blacks out the wheels and blacks out the emblems and gives it a real nice look. Of course, my favorite look for the minivan is something that really doesn't look like a minivan, which is the Kia Carnival. In shape, it kind of looks like it, but they did some things to change the pillar and the front end, and so it doesn't really look like a minivan, even though it's shaped like one. So that's kind of some magic that Kia came up with. But once again, you don't really buy a minivan just for looks. You really buy it for the utility that it provides. And pretty much most of the minivans provide that in spades, but the Sienna, with its outstanding gas mileage, yeah, it gives you even more utility. So let's talk about the minivan market in the United States and kind of who reigns supreme. Currently, that's the Chrysler Pacifica. So through 2024, August, I think they've sold about 93,000 units. In second place is the Honda Odyssey, which has sold around 50,000 units. In third place is our beloved Toyota Sienna with about 43,000 units. And in last place, the unminivan, is the Kia Carnival with about 35,000 units. So one of the big benefits of the Toyota Sienna hybrid is its gas mileage, and that's probably its biggest selling feature. So let's look at how the Sienna compares to its competition. When we're looking at this, I think it's really important for you to consider how you're going to use your minivan. Are you primarily going to use it as a daily driver, making small trips, to drop off your kids and to get groceries? Or are you going to use your minivan a lot on long trips? And the reason why I ask this is there's a significant difference in the gas mileage that the competitors of the Sienna get on the highway versus trips in the city. So the Toyota Sienna, it's rated for 36 miles per gallon, both in the highway and in the city. But when Car and Driver tested the Sienna, that's not really quite what they got. Their observed gas mileage combined was about 27 miles per gallon, and on the highway, it got 33 miles per gallon. But comparing that to the Chrysler Pacifica plug-in hybrid, the numbers are almost exactly the same. It got about 24 miles combined compared to the 27 miles combined of the Toyota Sienna. But on the highway, they did exactly the same, both averaging 33 miles per gallon. Now, when comparing to the Honda Odyssey and the Kia Carnival, the Honda Odyssey, with its 10-speed transmission, it does really good on the freeway. It averages 30 miles per gallon compared to the 33 miles per gallon of the Toyota Sienna. So really not much of a difference. Finally, when compared to the Kia Carnival, the Carnival gets about 28 miles per gallon in the city compared to the 33 miles per gallon of the Toyota Sienna. So yeah, there's a little bit more of a gas mileage differential there on the Carnival, but still, with the Carnival and the Honda Odyssey with their V6 drivetrains, you're certainly going to be a lot more comfortable on the freeway if you need to do a passing maneuver compared to the Toyota Sienna. So you can see on the highway there really isn't that much of a difference, but where it makes a big difference, especially in the hybrid drivetrains, both with the Chrysler Pacifica and the Toyota Sienna, is when you add in city driving. Now the other thing that you want to consider is, do you need all-wheel drive? So both the Chrysler Pacifica in the non-plug-in hybrid version and the Toyota Sienna have all-wheel drive available. The Honda Odyssey and the Kia Carnival do not. So if you live in an area that gets a lot of snow where you need to have all-wheel drive, then that decision is pretty much made up. All right, so let's first talk about the Toyota Sienna. So the base model of the Toyota Sienna for 2024, you can currently get it for $37,685, and I think that's without delivery. The pros of that Toyota Sienna are basically the miles per gallon that you can get, and also I think the perceived Toyota reliability. I mean, they've been doing hybrids forever, and I've got a feeling that this drivetrain, it's going to not give you any trouble. Now the cons of the Toyota Sienna is I consider this to be a little bit more sluggish than I would like, and it's a little bit loud. So I already talked about the droning of the engine and the CVT transmission, and to be honest with you, I just plain don't like it. And so that might be enough for me to consider another option. Now the second con of the Sienna really has to do with these second row seats. So one of the big benefits that I've always loved about the minivan is that you can take the seats out. You know, the Chrysler Pacifica and the Honda Odyssey and even the Kia Carnival, you can remove all the seats. Probably the Chrysler Pacifica with the non-plug-in hybrid version does it the best with the stow and go seats, both in the second and the third row. But with the Toyota Sienna, yeah, you can't remove these at all. Now, I could probably get these seats out of here, and I'm sure there's some sort of programmer that I could get so that I don't get a bunch of warning lights and stuff. But still, you know, I think Toyota should make it easy for consumers to be able to take out these second row seats, especially if you don't need them, or if you really want to remove them, you know, for the sake of cargo or to give your dogs a lot of space in the back. All right, so next, let's talk about the Chrysler Pacifica. And I actually did a review on the Chrysler Pacifica a number of months ago, and I gotta say, I really liked it. You can have it for about $40,500. Now, I did include, currently they have, I think, $3,000 cash back as an incentive, and they also have listed the $7,500 federal tax rebate that you could get. So I did include those in that price, but most people will qualify for that. And, you know, the real benefit of the plug-in hybrid version of that Pacifica is the drivetrain. It isn't super fast, so it's similar to the Toyota Sienna in how quick it is, but it gets to those speeds just a lot quieter, and you don't get that crazy drivetrain sounds that you get in the Toyota Sienna. The other benefit is because it's a plug-in hybrid, you get about 32 miles of EV driving. So if you do a lot of daily driving just on short trips, you're basically going to be able to do that without using any gas at all. Now, I did already talk about the gas mileage comparison between the Chrysler Pacifica plug-in hybrid and the Toyota Sienna, but they're very close. So on the freeway, they're exactly the same. And then in combined driving, there's about 3 miles per gallon difference in favor of the Toyota Sienna. But if you do, for instance, if you are using the plug-in hybrid, so if you're plugging it in, right, it's going to get a lot better gas mileage than that Toyota Sienna because you're going to get 30 miles of EV driving basically every day. The other thing is because of the drivetrain, if you do a lot of driving up and down hills, it's going to recapture a lot of that energy going back into the battery, and so you're going to get a lot more EV driving. So there's going to be a lot of situations where that Chrysler Pacifica, it's actually going to get probably significantly better gas mileage than that Toyota Sienna. Now, the other interesting thing about that Chrysler Pacifica plug-in hybrid is the fact that it's combined with the V6, a Pentastar V6. So it's really interesting. It has that Pentastar V6 on the Atkinson's duty cycle, and so, you know, it does really good with gas mileage. But I found, you know, that drivetrain to be incredibly quiet and also, you know, really responsive. So I would have less concern about doing a passing maneuver in that Chrysler Pacifica than I would in the Toyota Sienna. Now, there's two cons that I have with the plug-in hybrid. The first con is the fact that it can't tow. So currently, for whatever reason, maybe because of the battery placement and they're, you know, are concerned about fires or something, I'm not exactly sure, or the weight, they don't say that there's a tow rating on that plug-in hybrid. So we tow a lot. So that would be a deal breaker for me. Also, you know, the perceived reliability of Chrysler might sway persons away from that product, but that Pacifica is actually, it's been pretty good on reliability. So next on our list is the Honda Odyssey. Now, it's actually the most expensive minivan on our list at $41,290, which is kind of surprising. I mean, the Honda Odyssey has actually been out, I think, since 2018. So they really need to do, you know, an upgrade on this particular generation. But, you know, one thing it does have going for it is got that, you know, it's got that Honda reliability similar to Toyota. And it's also got that really strong VTEC V6 that is also in the Honda Pilot and a number of other Honda products. And it's definitely the quickest of the bunch. So it'll get 0 to 60 in, I think, 6.5 seconds, 6.6, which puts it a second ahead of basically its, you know, its competition. So Yeah, that's the pro of the Honda Odyssey, is basically that drivetrain. The con, however, is its city's gas mileage. So on the highway, because of that 10-speed automatic, it does really good. It gets 30 miles per gallon. And so if you're spending a lot of time on the highway, you know, the Honda Odyssey might be a good pick. But on the city or in combined driving, you only get 20 miles per gallon. So yeah, that's not so great. If gas mileage is important to you, you probably want to look somewhere else. Okay, so the last minivan on our list is the unminivan. It's the Kia Carnival, and it can be had at $36,550, making this the least expensive minivan on our list. So if looks are important to you, that's the big pro in the Kia Carnival. It really doesn't look all that much like a minivan, and it's, you know, it's got a really nice interior, and the tech within the Kia is really good, and yeah, that's great. But it just doesn't get the greatest gas mileage. So in the city, combined driving, it gets about 19 miles per gallon. But, you know, if you do, once again, a lot of highway driving, it does pretty good at 28 miles per gallon. So if you are interested in that Kia, the way it looks, and you are looking for a little bit better gas mileage, you just might want to wait. So they have announced for 2025, they're coming out with a hybrid version. It's going to use the combination of the 1.6 liter turbocharged engine with the batteries, with the hybrid technology. And they use this combination in a number of their other vehicles, and it's a pretty potent combination. They don't use a CVT transmission. They use a 6-speed automatic transmission in their other products, and I think they're going to use that 6-speed in this one as well. So you don't get that, you know, really bad drone of the CVT. And that 1.6 liter turbo, it actually sounds pretty cool. I think they're saying it'll get about 33 miles per gallon combined, and so that's really close to what the Toyota Sienna gets, as well as the Chrysler Pacifica. So yeah, something cool to check out. So I wasn't planning on doing any sort of minivan series. I just happened to, you know, get a chance to drive the Chrysler Pacifica, and then I got this rental Toyota Sienna. So yeah, I'm probably just gonna say the heck with it and do a review on the Honda Odyssey as well as the Kia Carnival. I've always wanted to get in that Carnival anyway. So yeah, stay tuned for a couple of other minivan videos for you to check out. And yeah, I hope to see you in those next videos coming up very soon.